Welcome to BizTech's Technology Show. Now, this show is part of our media partnership with the Singapore Business Show 2022. Our guest today is Jenny Chu, the Regional Vice President, Japan and APAC, Small Business and Medium Business at Zendesk. Zendesk is an American company headquarters in San Francisco, California, and provides software as a service products related to customer support, sales, and other customer communications. The company was originally founded in Copenhagen in Denmark in 2007. Now, Jenny, tell us more. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Really glad to be here.
Now, Jenny, give us an overview of Zendesk and its history.
Well, Zendesks, Brian, actually began 15 years ago. Our mission was really to ease the very complex world of customer support. So we actually enable companies to digitize the entire customer experience, from tools and technologies to really help agents become more efficient while providing customers with an extremely engaging experience. You know, customers today, they've all flocked online, so things have changed. And so we are very proud to, power billions of conversations worldwide with over 100K companies across multiple channels.
What does your footprint look like in the Asia Pacific and Japan? Which are your markets which perhaps see the biggest adoption of your products and services?
Yeah, we're actually available across the whole of APAC. Our key markets are Australia, India, Japan, and Singapore, where we have, local teams sitting in country. We've got go-to-market, we've got product development teams sitting across APAC. And, some of these teams work on global innovations as well. So for example, our engineering hubs are in Singapore and Melbourne, and they actually work on developing some of our most fascinating in-demand solutions. You hear of messaging, chat, AI, self-service. We find that, the closer we are to customers, the better it is for constant improvement and feedback.
A lot of tech players are trying to unlock the small and medium-sized business across the region. Give us a sense of how big the segment is and how important it is to you as Zendesk.
So we don't break out our numbers by segment, but I can tell you that we are seeing big opportunities to support SMBs in their efforts to digitize. They want to know how to improve their customer relationships, especially during and after, pandemic, during the recovery. The landscape is huge. We all know that, SMBs are the lifeblood of every economy in APAC. 97% of all businesses are SMB, and they actually contribute to 40% to 60% of GDP across APAC. So the scene here for SMB is extremely vibrant. From startups to tech innovation, you name it, all across APAC. It's a really exciting time to be an SMB to help these customers grow.
Now, I want to zoom in on the solutions that Zendesk offer. How different are you from your competitors? Because there's a lot of people, as I said earlier, gunning from this space. There's everyone from Zoho to Salesforce to Microsoft. Everyone has an eye on this huge lucrative pie. Where is your sweet spot and what is your secret sauce?
That's a great question, Brian. Well, many of our customers tell us that they love Zendesk for three things. First of all, it's scalability. Second of all, it's time to value. And third of all is the innovation that I spoke about, which is, really in our DNA. We take customers' feedback very seriously and continuously improve. The special thing that I personally like about Zendesk is also our partnership with our customers, where we work hand in hand with them to make sure that they actually succeed. And we want to be there where they need us. So that partnership is extremely important for us.
So then tell us now, and this is your space, customer experience. That's really changed dramatically, as you mentioned also in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. Tell us how that has evolved and share with the audience then how Zendesk has helped some of your customers improve their customer experience.
Yeah, I think the landscape has totally changed over the last couple of years. I think the first trend that we are seeing is the absolute rising in customer expectations. So nowadays, customers don't distinguish between, SMEs and larger companies in their customer service expectations. Research actually shows that customers today have a much higher expectation than ever before. No longer are they comparing us to our direct competitors, but they are comparing us to the great experience that they had last night at a restaurant, or the great experience at a hotel that they stayed on, or even the great experience from the brand that they experienced online. And what happens is they jump to a completely different industry, and then somebody says, why can't they be as good as this brand? So simply put, when one company actually raises the bar, every other brand is expected to follow, whether small or large. And really, because our customers are, super online nowadays, they have more options than ever before. With one click of a button, they can just jump ship or swap to a new brand. And if the experience is not what they want, it's very, very easy to, to move or switch loyalties. So what this means for SMEs today is that COVID-19 has really evened out the playing field for everyone. In today's digital environment, customer loyalty is actually up for grabs. So that rising customer expectation is the first trend that we're seeing. The second is, businesses need to think beyond customers, but also to their internal teams. Now, we've seen that, we talk a lot about protecting customer value and delivering, utmost value to make sure that we retain customers. But have businesses really thought about their employees? So I'm going to give you two perspectives here. Okay. From an agent perspective, you are required to give the best customer service possible. Are they actually having the right tools and technologies and training to do their jobs better? Because right now they're actually getting super overwhelmed by the volumes of online queries. So how do we uplift their game with AI so that they can continue to be more productive at work and deliver a personalized human touch, or understanding the why are customers contacting us? How do we provide best-in-class recommendations to upselling and cross-selling? The other perspective of internal employees as well is, all of us are moving towards a in-person and remote-first environment, and so the question is your employee experience ready for this? The levels of tickets that are raised internally across HR, finance, operations, IT, whether big or small companies, has gone up. And, Zendesk just, not just helps beautify the external customer experience, but also the internal experience of your employees. So a bit of food for thought there, because a lot of times we think about the external customer. What about your internal employees, Brian?
Jenny, that's a great perspective, because essentially you're right. Most of the time we talk about CX and we think of the external, your customer experience. You don't think about the agent. You also don't think about your internal employees. And ultimately, as you correctly pointed out, if these two stakeholders are not looked after, how is your customer going to be looked after?
Absolutely right. It's all about people, and people need to come from external and internal as well.
So then now some of these points which you highlighted earlier, and these points as well, are highlighted in your Zendesk Customer Experience Trends Report 2022. What are some of the key takeaways besides the ones that you mentioned that we should be cognizant of, or are perhaps very, very interesting for you?
Yeah, there's a couple of key points that when I read the report, a couple of key points stood out to me. I think the first is we talk about customer expectations rising, right? And so 70% of customers actually purchase based on the quality of customer service that's been delivered. However, get this, Brian, 50% feel that customer service is an afterthought. What this means is, even though businesses know that they have to provide great customer service, it doesn't necessarily come top of mind for them as their number one priority. They know it, but whether they know how to do it or want to do it is a different story. The second trend that we saw is that 64% of businesses say that customer service positively impacts their business growth. But looking at it deeper, only 54% have a 3-year strategic plan for customer service. So customer service is not just a one-time play, it's a lifetime journey of a customer. And this is super important because of the third stat that you and I spoke about before this conversation. After one bad experience, 61% of customers will switch to a competitor. Even worse, after 2 bad experiences, 72% are out of the door. And so if you're having trouble as a customer and you can't reach customer support, You're going to get frustrated. You're going to perceive that as, oh my God, every time it's a bad experience, and you might leave. And so the question then is, how do you stand out if in today's world, a good product and relatively cheap pricing is no longer enough to generate loyalty? And we believe that the answer is customer experience.
And Jenny, you're spot on there, because that's really the crux of it. But what you said earlier really resonates with me in particular, and I'm sure with the audience, which is the fact that customers really don't care whether you're a large company or a two-person operation. They just want that good level of customer service. Now, as a person, through your lens, where you look after Asia Pacific and Japan, what advice would you give small and medium-sized businesses who want to deliver outstanding customer experience and make an impact and retain customers?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. I think, with all the change in environment, as an SMB, you are now presented with both an opportunity and a challenge. And really, it depends what you do next. It's an opportunity because everything that's changing the landscape today has given you the chance to grab customers to gain market share and build loyalty. But it's also a challenge because you need to keep up with the challenging demands and expectations of your current customers today. Now, for SMEs, we all know that budget is always limited. And what happens more often than not is SMBs end up settling for cheaper ad hoc systems that may not connect. It will fix your problem now, but it will not fix your problem in the future. And so when your business starts to grow, and that's where you want it to be, you want to grow your business, you start to take a look at, oh my gosh, the system that I used before will not work as my business scales. And so there's a saying that the most expensive room in the house is the one that you have to renovate twice. In the end, you have to overhaul, you have to change to a new system. So the biggest advice that I have for SMEs today is making sure that you ask the right questions for scalability in the future before you invest in any tools and technology. Because really, Brian, the challenges that you face as an SME today are not the same challenges that you face tomorrow.
And that's really a good point, because a lot of people, you're right, especially in the small and medium business space, price is sometimes the overwhelming factor, not the roadmap in terms of what I really need. I only think of what I need now rather than what I may need, just maybe 12 months from now, because it's all about time pressure. It's all about the cost. I want the cheapest possible price. But now, moving away from that, what are some key customer experience trends that we can expect moving forward in 2023, 2024?
Yeah, we are finding that no longer is the word satisfactory enough. Exceptional is what customers are looking for. And businesses really need to strive for it when it comes to meeting their customer expectations. And so as a business, you need to do three things. The first is you need to keep a balance between your human and automation strategy. Use automation to uplift your human game. How do we empower our agents to make sure that they deliver utmost personalized service if they're going to be bogged down with all the nitty-gritty of collecting information from customers as they come in? So how do you use technology to impact the level of productivity of your agents? The second is you need to be able to integrate key data from critical apps. In order to continuously improve, you need to get insights from all your customers feeding into one system and tool. So imagine this, Brian, the customer comes in, and instead of saying, how can we help you? You already know what the person bought the previous week. And you can ask, how were the shoes that you bought last week? Doesn't that personalize the interaction between the customer and yourself? And then you can look at solving the issue. So making sure that key data from the customer is all integrated into your system to be able to deliver that exceptional experience. And the third is acknowledging that the role of customer experience will continuously evolve. So from where you are today to the future, the only way to get ahead is to make sure that you acknowledge this and use technology. So for example, organizations have a huge opportunity to invest in AI-driven solutions for quicker resolutions.
Jenny, it's been a fascinating conversation. And one of the key things that sticks in my mind really is about the fact that we shouldn't just focus on the customer itself, but also focus on our internal agents as well as our employees to deliver this wonderful service for our customers. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think three main thoughts here. Whenever we embark on building change or doing something different, personally from the customer journey experience, we want to make sure that you are everywhere. So you provide an omni-channel experience, because Brian, the average consumer today has 2.5 devices. It could be a laptop, it could be a mobile phone, it could be an iPad. And they all have different ways of how they want to interact with you. And so as a business, if you are there to greet them before they even arrive, it uplifts the customer experience. The second is to be as personable as possible. So not have a one-size-fits-all approach. Because when you have a one-size-fits-all approach, the customer doesn't feel understood. And we spoke about this before. If the customer doesn't feel understood, it's very easy to actually jump ship in an online environment. And the third is to be scalable. So whatever tools and technology that you want to implement, you make sure it's like a Swiss Army knife, one that can upskill with you as you grow your business and downscale during tough times. Because like we mentioned before, the challenges that you face today is very different than the challenges you're facing tomorrow. So make sure you're encompassing the overall thought process of these three things: be everywhere, be personable, and be scalable.
Now, Jenny, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really loved having you on your show.
Thank you very much, Brian. Happy to be here.
Now, I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Jenny Chu, the Regional Vice President, Japan and APAC for small and medium business at Zendesk. Now, on our BizTech's technology show, this show is part of our This show is part of our media partnership with the Singapore Business Show 2022. This video and podcast will be on our social media platforms as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. It will also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.